So, old Jerry Conway's at it again. If you don't know who that is, you can thank him for the Punisher. He created him. In fact, he's been in the industry for a long time. He's mostly doing TV now and movies, I think. But if you look here, you can see that his impact is there. He's got dozens of writing credits for both DC and Marvel. He helped shape the Bronze Age of comic books with stories like The Night Gwen Stacy Died, the original Clone Saga, the creation of the Punisher, and his run on Justice League. He's written almost every superhero from Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man. He's been around for a while. He still writes comics once in a while, actually, too. He just wrote What If. It's had the Flash Thompson Spider-Man thing, like What If Flash was Spider-Man. It actually had been told before, but he retold it. It doesn't matter. It was actually a pretty good issue. I reviewed it. Should be a video down the line on the channel somewhere on that. However, that's not what we're here for, because he's comparing cops to pretty much bigots. Because this guy is lost. Now, I don't know what he was like, back in the day. We didn't have social media, so there's no way to know. But, now it's a bad time to meet your heroes. Conway actually made one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, which is The Night Gwen Stacy Died. They actually have a picture of it here. I'll show you. So if you've seen Spider-Man movies, actually, not even the comics, you've seen this. The bridge scene itself was adapted in the Sam Raimi movie, the first one, when Mary Jane got thrown off the bridge. They actually kind of adapted that scene to this, but they obviously didn't have Mary Jane die, and, it was not Gwen Stacy. They actually used the scene straight up in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the one with, what's-his-face? He had, what's her name? She was in that zombie movie. That doesn't help, huh? I can't think of her name. She's really cute, though. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so he's had a big impact, right? The Punisher alone is a pretty popular character. And this guy's always running his mouth doing stupid stuff. I actually have a lot of the stuff he said opened up. We're going to go over that too. But I wanted to go over what he said here. So he did a couple of weird things, right? We go down here, and this was one I wanted to read over, and then we'll actually read over the one where he talks crap about cops, which is the next one. So, what are your thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man 121 so many years later? I know you got a lot of heat for it when it happened, but how do you look back on killing Gwen Stacy? What do you think of her return as Spider-Gwen? Spider-Gwen, of course, being Ghost Spider, or whatever they called her in Spider-Verse. She's been around for a minute, but she's actually from an alternate universe. I don't know if they'll ever move her over. She has the ability to move across universes, I think, so. We go here. It says, I'm really proud of my work on that issue, and the work of Gil Kane and John Romita. We had no idea the story would end up having the legacy it's had, but even at the time I was conscious of wanting to drive home what I believed was the core theme of Marvel's approach to superhero storytelling, that being a superhero doesn't make you immune to tragedy, that superpowers don't make you infallible, and that real life doesn't always produce happy endings. So here's the kind of cuck-a-dee-doo part. Cuck-a-doodle-doo. Unfortunately, Gwen's death also inspired some terrible stories, including the girl in a refrigerator trope women in comics rightfully decry. I'd like to think that our approach to Gwen's death wasn't a cheap shot to create sympathy for our male hero, especially because I tried to use the tragedy more as a motivation for the emotional growth of the woman who would become the most significant female in Peter Parker's life, Mary Jane Watson. But others don't control the response to their work. We can only stand back and observe. It's astonishing to me that 45 years later, readers are still responding powerfully to the story. Astonishing and gratifying. As for Spider-Gwen, I love her. She's a terrific addition to the Spider-Verse.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
So just what really bothers me, and I wanted to read the whole thing, so, it didn't sound like I was taking it out of context, but this whole, she's inspired some terrible stories, including the girl in the refrigerator trope. What kind of guy is this? Sad, man. And you're going to see that he's got that whole NBC syndrome that's going on. But, that was a great story. And who cares if you're using a character to move the story and make you feel bad for the main character. Everyone felt bad for the main character. What was the point of it? That's the stupidest point I've ever heard. Why does this matter when we want to tell stories, that you have to think about this? This just destroys storytelling. But that's just a quick off the thing. That this was in the article that I really wanted to talk about, just to kind of give you some context to what kind of man he is now. So we go down here, and this is where it's at, right here. What are your thoughts on the Punisher symbol being co-opted by police or the military, right? And here's something right here. This is from Etsy. That's a creator owns, like, so it's kind of like a Patreon type deal, right? So it's for amateur people that kind of want to open up their own shops. Not just so much amateur. I mean, this looks really good, but I mean, it's just like little shops, right? You can buy a lot of creator-owned things on there. All right, so let's read the statement now. I've talked about this in other interviews. To me, it's disturbing whenever I see authority figures embracing Punisher iconography, because the Punisher represents a failure of the justice system. He's supposed to indict the collapse of social moral authority. In the reality, some people can't depend on institutions like the police or the military to act in a just and capable way. The vigilante anti-hero is fundamentally a critique of the justice system, an example of social failure. So when cops put Punisher skulls on their cars, or members of the military wear Punisher skull patches, they're basically sides with an enemy of the system. They are embracing an outlaw mentality. Whether you think the Punisher is justified or not, whether you admire his code or of ethics, he is an outlaw. He is a criminal. Police should not be embracing a criminal as their symbol. It goes without saying, in a way, it's as offensive as putting a Confederate flag on a government building. My point of view is the Punisher is an anti-hero, someone we might root for while remembering he's an outlaw and a criminal. If an officer of the law representing the justice system puts a criminal symbol on his police car or shares challenge coins honoring a criminal, he or she is making a very ill-advised statement about their understanding of the law.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! Jesus Christ, I've met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all. Get up!
So how do you feel about that? Him saying that superheroes represent the failure of our justice system, that the reason they're there is because police are garbage, that the military is garbage, and equating them having fun with the Punisher skull, right? It's a fun symbol, the Punisher skull. Them having some fun and using it for decoration and kind of, I guess, co-opting it is the same as some kind of bigot. I don't have any problem with flags, right? I don't buy into that narrative. But in the mind of Jerry Conway, that flag represents a bigot. And he's basically calling your police and your military trash, garbage people. What do you think about that? I'm really interested in the comments on this one. I really am. Old Jerry Conway just always digging holes for himself every day. But let's take a look, and I'm going to show you why this is exactly what he means, because we're going to take a look at some things that he said before and just how far gone this man is and how much he doesn't care about his fans. It's more about the way you vote with this guy. He could care less if you grew up loving his stories or anything. He don't care about you. All right, so here we go. This is an exchange. These 3 articles that I'm going over that have these tweets came from Bounding in the Comments. Give them a check out. So anyway, a general question. Why does alt-right imagine it's an insult to call someone a social justice warrior? Isn't justice a good thing? Don't we all live in a society? Isn't this another way of saying you're fighting the good fight? I accept it as honorific. And he got a response from a fan, actually. Jerry, why not read Thomas Powell's The Vision is the Anointed? Plenty of people, including prominent people on the left, understand it is a slang for a group of people. It is perfectly legitimate to talk about. Are you looking to have a conversation or just stir the pot? Oh, and then Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell, yep, I remember him from the 1980s. He's the black conservative racists trot out to prove they aren't racist. Look at that ignorant ass response from Jerry. That is some ignorant crap. Then we got another guy. This is incredibly racist to imply. What the hell is wrong with you? Then he goes right here. Yeah, that's not what I said, dipshit. I said racist. Like you, obviously. Like you, obviously. That is some messed up beep. You so as a bred for the racism. Comics gate a-holes. Whether someone else finds his arguments convincing is just a bonus for the racists that promote him. Fighting the good fight, isn't he? Getting woke, going broke. But he's still getting work. He's kind of in the shadows, too. No one's going to do anything, told Jerry. Then we go here. This is during the old Supreme Court stuff that was going on. Once again, we see the face of angry white male privilege in America. And this is fully the face of the Republican Party. And then we got this one. This is the best one right here, where he goes on about how he would pretty much change the color and gender of all of the main characters in each universe. So I'm just going to go ahead and read his little rant here verbatim. If today's publishers would treat the Silver Age the way the Silver Age treated the Golden Age, abandon the originals and create entirely new and modern versions of these characters in some other universe, for IP reasons if necessary, maybe we'd all be better off. I'd love to see a from-scratch reboot. Keep the old universe, Rebirth, New 52, or whatever, as a secondary line with a handful of books for the diehards. Just blow everything up. Redefine the DC and or Marvel cosmos. Have a purely creative moment like Stan and Jack. I don't necessarily disagree with this, actually. I think they should reboot every decade or so. I think that the universes should reboot. Kind of like manga. Manga does that. So, like, there's several manga I can think of. Like, was it Tenchi Muyo did it? I've never read the manga for that. Like, they would pretty much, like, retell the story, basically. I saw that Neon Genesis Evangelion has done that in the manga. Like they're like in high school or something. I've been reading. I just saw it in a Barnes and Nobles. Like I'm like, what? They did a sequel, and it was like they're like on high school. I'm like, nope, I'm not interested. They're not in giant mechs, so no. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea because then you could have a place you can start and end with. I think it would make things easier and it would make things more entertaining. I think it'd be interesting to do, but that's not what he's thinking of, right? And we're going to get to that. I'm going to skip this one because he just talks about Valiant because they restarted their universe. Then we go here, and this is the big one, and this is what he was really talking about. It's important to remember that our traditional white male superheroes were created at a time when the default hero was a white male. There's nothing inevitable about their race or gender, nothing sacred. The Silver Age was 50 years ago. Society's changed in half a century. To put the Silver Age in context, it's 5 times as long from the Silver Age, as the Silver Age was the Golden Age, but the Silver Age versions of the Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkman were completely different from their predecessors. Clinging to the past is silly. Of course, I recognize that in today's corporate IP-oriented world, it's an impossible dream, but there's no one I see with the world-breaking talent of Stan and Jack who'd be given the necessary freedom. So you know what he wants. This dude's long gone. Can you believe this guy made the Punisher? You know what I'm saying? Can you believe this? That this guy made the Punisher. What a joke. Like one of the biggest badasses in the universe. And this cuckadoodle-doo made him. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments what you think about old Jerry cuckadoodle-doo here. What do you think about his rants? How do you feel about him calling the police and the military piles of garbage? I want to know your thoughts on this. Also, check out my links in the description. Got a link to my Stream Me where I do some crazy streams. Also, got a link to my Patreon if you want to support me. I know it's not very popular right now, but there's nowhere else to go. And if you would throw a like up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, I will very much appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see all of you next time. Peace.
He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us.